Hi, this is Gail, the Legacy Lady, and I'm starting a little late because I forgot to plug in my microphone. So, yay for live streaming. Okay, so this is episode 3. Yesterday, or in episode 2, we talked about intergenerational storytelling and why I think it's important and what that looks like. Hi, Monica. And so today I thought for episode 3, we would do creating a loved one's story, 3 steps to get started. So yesterday, my question to you was, who could you work with right now to have that storytelling conversation and help them get started on their first page? So tonight, I'm going to give you the 3 steps to get started. So isn't that wonderful? If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I will address them as we go. Okay, so the first one is a total Captain Obvious thing, but you have to ask. So asking sometimes is really hard. It feels weird. We're not sure. Especially if we've never interacted this way with that person, it can be very difficult to make the leap and decide to ask them to tell their story. And especially if you haven't shown interest before in hearing their story, they might wonder why you want to know, what's the reason behind it, and you need to be prepared to answer those questions. So ask them and explain why you want to do this with them, and I like to go big picture, so explaining the whys of that you want to be able to help them record their story and have a written record of their life, and that you're really honestly and genuinely curious about their life. So that's step number 1, is the ask. So the second part is making the time. This is also very complicated for some people, myself included. I'm totally in that boat. So making the time means making it a priority for you and for your storyteller. Hi, Sandy. We're doing creating a loved one's story, 3 steps to get started. We are on number 2 already. So, and it's making the time. One of the ways we can make the time is figuring out how that person is most comfortable and recognizing that some people might do better on the phone, they might do better in person, or in this day and age, we can do things via video, which is personally how I like to do them, but not everyone in every generation is comfortable with that. So whoever you're working with, you need to be aware of their needs and also your schedule, but their schedule, and however they're most comfortable chatting with you, you need to take into account how long that's going to take, obviously travel time, and then deciding how often you're going to do this. My ideal suggestion is that you make enough time to chat with this person over the course of like 6 to 8 weeks. It's how I've laid the book out. It's how I've laid the course out. And it really gives you a chance to deep dive into memories with people. It gives you a chance to deepen that relationship and an opportunity to build rapport that you probably didn't have before. And I can tell you from experience, and from a lot of people's experiences, that it completely reshapes that relationship with the person that you're helping tell their story. And for that to happen with a family member who maybe you didn't have a great relationship with before, or you didn't know anything about, or you didn't interact with on a regular basis, once you've done those 6 to 8 weeks together, you will have created the habit of being together. Hi, Jen. Hi, Jaylene. Thanks for joining. We're doing creating a loved one's story, 3 steps to get started. And we're talking about number 2, which is making the time. So going back to figuring out how they're most comfortable, recognize their abilities. If someone's hard of hearing, then you're probably going to want to be in person, and just recognize those limitations and being respectful of that person, of where they are in their life right now, and that it isn't about us. It's not about you. It's about the person that you're working with and really what they need. And if the more comfortable they are, the more willing they're going to be to share and to tell deeper feelings and deeper experiences. Sorry, I'm just going to read Monica's comment really quick. She says, I'm talking to my family now about I wish I had this with my Oma. We all need this right now with all of our families. I completely agree, obviously. So I'm so excited you guys are having the conversation. And really, with these lives and doing the videos and everything that I'm doing with this course and talking about it, if it only helps Monica, if it only helps your family do something different, I've accomplished my goal. So my goal is to help families have a constructive way to do this without it feeling big and scary and impossible, and breaking down the pieces so that they're manageable and that you can implement on the fly. Like, you don't have to have 6 to 8 weeks. You can do this with them in 5 minutes. And that'll be a whole other episode, but I have really cool 5-minute storytelling scripts, and they're so much fun. So that's a whole episode on its own. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. So in the meantime, let's talk about the first time. So the first time you get together with this person, it is it might be awkward depending on who it is, and that's okay. It's totally fine. It's totally fine for you to be nervous. It's fine for them to be nervous, and it's completely understandable. It's new territory, and it's totally a thing. So my advice for this first session is to be as natural as you can be. It's just a regular visit. You're just talking about something different. Other things that have helped different storytelling partners and pairs is actually doing an activity while you're chatting. So if your grandmother or your mother enjoys knitting or some other pastime that she can do with her hands, that is totally acceptable. There are no rules with this. I try to offer guidelines so that it gives you a starting point, and then from there you're able to build on what you're both interested in, what they're most comfortable with, what you're comfortable with, and giving them that permission to do something else while you're talking makes a huge difference. So like I said, that can be knitting, that can be painting, that could be cooking. Having the conversation in the kitchen would be so cool. Like, especially if you picked if you picked a recipe to talk about together and to record that story. If you cooked the recipe together while you were talking about it, that would be amazing, because not only do you have the oratory memories that are coming out, you have the sensory ones that are coming out, you have the different smells that are coming up. It might remind that person of other things that happened in the moments where they made that recipe with other people, right? Cooking in the kitchen and storytelling at the same time. Many families probably already do this already. There just isn't that next step of actually writing it down or taking the time to write it down together, or even recording the conversation, which might sound weird because we have these phones that are listening to us and there's like weird things going on with electronics and all of the rest of it. But intentionally setting up a recording device and saying, okay, we're going to make this recipe together. And while we make this recipe, these are the questions this is what I want to ask you about. And you can give them the information ahead of time. That might be helpful, because then they might be able to do research on their own. They might be able to talk to their sister. They might reach out to their brother that they haven't talked to in 5 years. Who knows where this storytelling idea can go? And I've seen it go and spread hundreds of thousands of miles. And people are reaching out to each other all over the globe to get answers to questions they have forgotten to ask, which is, it's a why, it's not a step. But when we forget to ask these things, or when we ask the questions and then we don't remember the answers, which is something I'm horrible with. I will ask the questions all day long, and then I will, not immediately, but depending on what's going on around me, I can't process all of it all the time. And I know that I have this problem, which is part of the reason why I started writing all of this down. Or I'll take a picture and write it down. Hi, Mary, it's nice to see you. We were just talking about cooking in the kitchen and telling stories, and I was actually thinking of you and my mom in book club, and how you guys cook for each other, and then you sit around and you talk about the stories, which I think is really cool. So Monica and I were going back and forth about picking a recipe to make with the person who passed it down to you, and have the conversation about that recipe in the kitchen while you're cooking it, which I just think is really cool. So those are, that's my idea. Monica, if you have anything else to add, feel free. And those are really the 3 steps. So to recap, they are we were talking about creating a loved one's story, 3 steps to get started. The very first one is ask, and then explain why you want to do this with them, because that will help them feel a little more comfortable about why you're doing it, that there's no ulterior motives. Oh, Monica, I love you. We can talk later. Um, and then the second one is making the time. So ideally, I like to see people try to do this over a series of weeks. And whether you're meeting together every week or you're chatting on the phone every week, that's completely up to you. I just know that the first 2 to 3 sessions, depending on who you're talking to, that takes that amount of time to build a rapport together, get used to each other, how the conversation flows. And then sessions 4, 5, and 6 are really fun. They're just really fun. And the opportunities that you have in, I'm saying a lot of ums, but 4, 5, and 6 are just so much fun to watch, because the storyteller, they're used to telling their story, they're remembering new things, the person who's interviewing them, you're having which follow-up questions to ask and how to get the answers you need, and it's just a really cool process to watch. So those are my suggestions on making the time. If you only ever can do one session, do the one session. And when I say session, I'm not talking an hour. I'm talking 15, 20, 30 minutes. It tops. It doesn't have to be a 3-hour-long conversation, unless that's what you guys want. And I'm just going to share what Monica says. So she says, the stories passed down between my Oma, my mom, me, and then my daughter Alexis. We all know how to make these Hungarian dumplings. That is so cool. So how fun would that be to have all of those generations that are still there together in the kitchen, making that particular recipe and talking about the first person who passed it down, and then everyone's experience in between of how they made the recipe, when they made it, what were they doing when they made it, when did it happen, and each of you have a different story for that and a different perspective and different memories of that recipe, how it was made, the first time you ate it. Those are all stories that can get written down that we don't think about, or we are thinking about them and it's, oh, well, it's too hard, or that's too much trouble. And you really can do it on your phone. You don't have to do anything crazy. It can be a Word doc. It can be on all the other, we'll do a whole other episode on tools that I use. But those are really good constructive ways to do it. So the first time, again, being as natural as you can be, and having them do an activity. So we've talked a lot about the cooking in the kitchen, but also knitting, painting, whatever makes the person feel the most comfortable. So that's it. Those are the 3 steps to get started. So I hope that this episode inspires you to talk with the person and reach out to them, the person that you thought about last night or yesterday, when I asked you if who would you work with right now that's still around. And please feel free to come back in the comments and let me know how it went, or PM me or send me an email, however you'd like to get into contact. There is the course that I created is Work with Someone You Love. It's $97, and it has what we talked about tonight, what we talked about yesterday, the day before, and so much more. So if you like what we're talking about, you need to go check out the course, okay? I promise. It's worth it. And it's yours for life. So it's $97 once. It's not monthly. It's not extra. I'm not going to take it away. You'll have it for forever. It's really easy to use. It's very pretty. And I just had so much fun putting it together for you. So you can find that at www.thelegacyrecorder.com/tell their story, which is THEIR. And little note, I totally looked this up because it was bothering me between remembering the difference between backslash and forward slash. Thank goodness for Wikipedia. So forward slash, literally it's leaning forward, and backslash, it's literally leaning backwards. And I don't know why I didn't know that or I didn't remember it that way. So, woo, Wikipedia. Um, okay. So anyways, that was my little tidbit that I found out like literally right before I got on because I was looking for it. I wanted to say it right. So again, that the link is www.thelegacyrecorder.com/tell their story. And I can't wait to see you in the course. And if anything, I will see you on the next episode.